Welcome to the Wealth BuildHERS podcast, the women entrepreneurs' home for building successful businesses that generate passive income. You have entered a judgment-free zone, so give yourself permission to shake off all the things you haven't done, because your journey to owning a thriving business you love starts right now.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining the Wealth BuildHERS podcast today. I am your host, Renee Williams, and I am here with my co-host, Camille Davis, and we are talking to Christopher Wick. Christopher is a heart-centered entrepreneur with a talent for numbers. As an entrepreneur who won 14 awards and helped over 500 companies by the age of 30, Christopher has bought and sold various companies related to marketing, e-commerce, real estate, retail, and investing. His business has been featured in the Huffington Post, ABC, NBC, and Wall Street Select. Currently, Christopher is chairman of Say Yes Enterprises, a Texas-based investment management company that acquires, builds, and sells companies. Christopher has a tremendous passion for helping people thrive in their companies to grow their profits, therefore growing their teams, families, and impacting their communities. As a sought-after speaker and teacher, Christopher has been featured at live events and on radio, print magazine, online, and live television. Here we go right now with Christopher Michael Wick. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, we are here with Christopher Michael Wick. Christopher has a wonderful bio on LinkedIn, and I just want to read real quick, Christopher. It says, helping entrepreneurs create truly valuable, sellable businesses without selling their soul and achieving their freedom number by creating exciting exit plans that support their ultimate vision. So that is a mouthful. Tell us more, Christopher. Tell us what this is all about.
Well, Renee and Camille, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be with y'all. Great to be with one of my partners, Camille, and so looking forward to working with you, Renee. I am an acquisition entrepreneur. And what is that? An acquisition entrepreneur is an entrepreneur who buys and sells businesses. I truly view myself as a business mentor, and that's really my gift in this lifetime, is helping by teaching and speaking and training other entrepreneurs to achieve outstanding results in their own lives and businesses, just like I have done for myself and so many others.
Oh, that is awesome. So how did you come about the premise for the business or for the concept? Is it something that you saw a need for in the industry, or did something happen in your past where you needed that and you didn't have it? Kind of tell us more about that.
Oh, so buckle up. Here we go. I first became an entrepreneur at the age of 12 years old, and I started a babysitting business. And that was my first wonderful lesson in wonderful partnerships and understanding, if I do this and they do that, here's how we can make it happen. And the partnership was this: I had a babysitting business with my sister, and she would change the diapers and watch the kids, and I would eat the snacks in the pantry, and I would be there. And I'm joking, we both did the babysitting duties, but that's just a humorous thing to share. But we had a 2-for-1 special. You get 2 babysitters for the price of 1, have 2 sets of eyes on your child. And that was really when I learned how to market, which that is so much of who I am as a marketer. Cammy can attest to that, but also to help position yourself as valuable in the marketplace. Then when I went through school, I became an entrepreneur again at the age of 19. And then I started my first really successful business at the age of 24. When I was 29 years old, I had an aha moment. And as I share this, I hope that y'all listening right now as the wonderful host, and then your audience, my wish is that you had the same aha moment that I had. From 24 to 29, I'd helped over 400 businesses grow their businesses, make more money, grow their profits. And I was a consultant, and I was able to help all these businesses, which was so meaningful to me because I was able to help solopreneurs with $0 in revenue, all the way up to corporations with billions of dollars of revenue. And at the age of 29, my aha moment was this: I've spent my entire career at this point, half a decade from 24 to 29, consulting. But what if I partnered with those companies? What if I co-owned those companies? What if I bought those companies? And so I started to make a connection. All the people that we love in the business community, Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, Roland Frazier, all these wonderful business entrepreneurs, they all own a portfolio of companies. So at the age of 29, I was like, aha, I'm going to go out and buy my first business. And just like our friend Cammy did, she went to go buy her first house and just figured it out on her own, no education, no training. And look at her now, over 40 single family home properties. How impressive is that? At the age of 29, I went and bought my first business. And it was very successful. My very first business that I bought, I sold within 11 months. I tripled my investment. And I was like, aha, I know what I'm doing because I've got this. I've consulted. I've got the experience. I've just sold this business. I've tripled my investment. I can't get that in real estate. I can't get that in crypto. I can't get that in the stock market. It's in business acquisition. And so then at the age of 30, I did my second acquisition and it totally flopped. I lost all of the investment. So I was like, aha, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got no idea what I'm doing. And then I went to go find professional training so I could become an acquisition entrepreneur. And here's the gift that was given me. One is the reason I tell this story is I really like to come down a couple notches when people learn about how I got started, because I want people to know how much grunt work there was in the beginning, all the way from babysitting and then starting my other company was 19, then starting another business when I was 24, and then consulting and just really nose to the ground, serving as many people as possible. And then doing it for my own business, doing all my consulting, all my magic for my own companies, being really successful in my first one, not being successful in my second. And as we speak now, I own over 18 corporations. And how does that happen? How does that happen? And it's because of experience. It's because of trial and error. There's not a gift that I have that someone else doesn't have. I don't have a secret master's degree in this. It's just from serving other people. And that is really my mission. And as you know, y'all remember from the beginning, before we hit the record button, my question is how can I serve your audience the best? Because if I could share the aha moment of partnership, of making sure you own an asset that you can sell. Because if you're just consulting, you're just a dancing bear. If you're just consulting, the moment the consulting agreement is over, you've got nothing. That's basically a job. And you become an entrepreneur because you want to be free of a job. So that's it in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot to share, a lot from 0 businesses to 18 plus as we speak in this moment of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to unpack just a little bit about what you said about the partnerships allowing you to have ownership in those businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
For sure. My very first acquisition, I did everything. I did the operations, I did the finance, I did the marketing, I did the sales, I did the delivery, I did everything. And then in my second acquisition was my very first partnership. And I thought, this is great. This is going to be awesome. And that was actually the first acquisition that failed. And I say this proudly because I want people to know if you have failed, you are listening to someone who has failed and totally made it to the other side. And that's a gift. Last week, I was seeing some of my students I mentor graduate university. And I remember thinking like, man, like I've made it. I'm watching the kids now walk across the stage. I remember when I did that. And my question was, am I going to make it? So if you have that question, if you're listening to this podcast and coming to Renee for hoping to get some inspiration or some wisdom, you are going to make it. I'm going to answer that question for you now. So when it comes to partnership, my first acquisition was wonderful because I was doing all of it. Now, it's not wonderful because I was doing all of it. I was working 60-hour weeks. I was working like crazy. I had no life outside this business I had purchased. I was also consulting at the same time. And I decided not to tell anyone about the acquisition because I didn't want my clients to think I was going to lose focus. And I now know I should have told everyone because of what a success story it became. But then when I experienced in my second acquisition, the value of picking a great partner. Oh, we've got all partners in every facet of our life. We have life partners in the form of marriage or spouses. We have friends. We have colleagues. We have so many ways in which we partner with other people. And why do we not do that more as an entrepreneur? Why do we say, I'm going to do everything? I'm going to do operations, finance. I'm going to wear all the hats. Why do we not partner? Is it about relinquishing control? Is it about money? There's lots of reasons why people don't want to partner. And I'm here to be the partner guy and say, partner with people who have brilliance in other areas. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that is so true. I think Cammy and I can attest to that. Just she and I having the opportunity to work together. that it is magnificent to see somebody else who you connect with, like to see them work in their zone of genius. I love that about Camille.
And I think one reason maybe we don't partner more, I don't know if we're ever taught how to partner in a general sense of like, you go to school, you get a degree, you go like work in your field of genius, but we're not taught about business. Not really. I mean, you can take classes in college, but they don't teach you really how to run the business. They don't teach you really how to partner with other people and relationships. And also, I mean, relationships can be hard, right? Like, even though, there's so much different from us that's what we need. We need someone different than us, but we also have to learn how to merge those differences and work together. And it can take a lot of work. So it's scary. It can be scary.
I love the parallel because that is very true. I think, Christopher, that when you have a partnership in business, some people refer to somebody as their work wife or their work husband or whatever. Like, you literally are in this long-term relationship, sometimes for years. And so it's really important that when you're going into the relationship, that you understand what you're getting into. So is there a way when you're doing the partnering, is there something specific that I'm looking for in the person, or am I just looking for something in the business?
Great question. So there's a lot to answer there. And y'all both are so right. We're not taught to partner with other people. And I have a business degree. I went to business school and they did not have a class on how to partner with other people. But if we look and if we follow clues, and what I teach my students and partners is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Someone's already done this. And we look at the Tony Robbins, the Warren Buffetts, the Richard Bransons. What are they doing that we are not? And one of those things is partnership. Now, how I do partnership in my world is through our GAP partner program, where we actually bring in people to partner with us. And it's actually a service that we provide. And that was all created because years ago, I saw the need in the marketplace and people needed help. They didn't need another coach or another consultant or another advertising buyer. They needed someone to speak with about the ins and outs of their businesses, just like relationships. And so how do we find relationships in this world? Well, we go searching for them. We run into them. Cammy and I met at our local CrossFit gym. No intention of going to the gym to make money together. And look, here we are now. We've made money together after being at the gym. But here, as we look at someone to partner with, a lot of people have one question in their mind. And it's not bad. It's not something negative. It is human nature. And their question is, what's in it for me? And it's natural. It's our humanity depends on self-preservation. Here is where I want to take that question. I want to flip it on its head is how can I serve? If you view every person as an opportunity to serve, you will win again and again and again in the end. Even with my second acquisition that failed, in the end, it was all good and everybody won. And that's because when I approach a partnership, I'm asking myself, how can I give as much value as possible? Whether I have them for 30 minutes, 30 days, or 30 years, how can I give as much value as possible to this person? And this is not something that is counterclockwise for human nature. We're social mammals. We want to be together. Our race is all about collaborating and surviving and growing and thriving. But there's something that happens to entrepreneurs where we just think, well, let me just figure this out myself. Or maybe they're scared of, they're thinking they should be somewhere where they're not, or they think they should be better than they are. Maybe they're nervous. But if we open up and say, hey, I'm really not good at finance. I would love to find a finance genius who could do this. Or I'm really not good at podcasting. I'd love to find a fabulous host to help me. Or I'm really not good at doing sales from stage. So I'd really love to find someone who can help me sell from stage. And to know that and to bring value to that person, and not by getting them to help you for free in all these ways. And we see this in like networking meetings. Like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And that's not cool. We need to compensate people fairly for what they do and to invest in them. But if you can change the question inside of yourself from what's in it for me to how can I serve this person, you will get everything you want and more. And I say that not because I've seen it in other people. I say it because of what's happened in my own life, of the awards that I won, the properties I own, the businesses I own. And it's all come from being a consultant at the age of 24. I had a job at $5 an hour, which was illegal at the time to pay someone that little. And I just said, I'm going to make it my mission to help this client get everything that they need. And they did. And I did it again and again and again. And I just kept trying. And so at the beginning, I was like, am I just building a business off of kindness? Like, is this what I'm doing? And it was just because when the answer becomes, how can I serve this person? The answers just occur. And it's not easy, but it is astoundingly simple when you just focus on serving others.
Yeah. I completely agree.
I know. I'm looking at your eyes. It's like, wow. Like,
yeah. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. I mean, that's the same with real estate. If I can go, and my number one thing is to find out what their problem is and really hear them for what they need, and I fix that problem, everybody wins, right? And so it's always about the other person. And it's the same with our relationships with our employees and with whoever we hire and our partnerships. And yes, it's in everything. You're right.
For sure.
Totally agree.
And you mentioned earlier, Renee, about relationships. And a lot of people think that, oh, relationships are tough or they're challenging or marriage is hard. And I don't subscribe to any of those beliefs. Here's what I know for sure. What I know for sure is the moment I'm working with someone else, I'm getting a mirror about me. So when I take 100% responsibility for everything that happens, if I take 100% responsibility for arguments or disagreements, which are few and far between in my business world, is I know I can grow if, again, I turn my focus from me and just making myself successful, I turn around and focus on them and making it about them. And I think whether I was telling my team members last week, I was teaching a lesson and I said, what I'm about to teach you is a lesson about business, but all of you are going to go home and I know you're going to tell your spouse. I know you're going to say, this is how we should do our relationship. We should take 100 responsibility. And I said, sorry, not sorry for the conversations that this will inspire, but this is really how to serve. And whether you're serving in your own household by being a great spouse, or you're serving on stage to thousands of people, how much you serve is going to be a direct correlation to how much you get in return. And I know that sounds a little nebulous, and I'd like to quantify it by saying, I've helped over 500 business owners one-on-one before the age of 30. And then here I am at early 30s, I own 18 corporations because of wanting to serve other people.
Yeah, man. So Christopher, do you think that as entrepreneurs, that we need to have a paradigm shift when it comes to the way that we view our business? Because so many of us are solopreneurs. We consider ourselves lone rangers. We're taught to think like we have to be only the strong survive. You got to bootstrap it until you fake it till you make it, and all these crazy things. But what I hear you saying is that if we shift the way that we think into more of a service-based thought mentality, like what are we bringing to the table? How are we showing up to serve other people? Then it comes back to us tenfold, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
So is that the way that we should be viewing our business long-term? Is what can I do over the arc of the existence of my business to help others? And then the expectation will be it'll come back. It may not come back in the same form that I gave it, but it'll come back to me, tenfold. If I'm putting out good, then it'll come back.
Oh, I'd love to put that on a billboard, Renee, going over the arc of my existing business to go above and beyond. And all I can speak about is what I know. And I had my very first client when I was 24 years old at $5 an hour. And I just was willing to do whatever it took. I was willing to do whatever it took to make that person successful. Because one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar, told me years ago, you will get everything you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want. And there I was, a 24-year-old student about to graduate college. I had no idea if I was going to make it in the world as an entrepreneur. And I just said, I'm just going to help other people be successful. And I know, or I think I know, that will help me too. And here's what I know for sure. It is a paradigm shift from going from internal of how am I going to make it? How's Renee going to make it? How's Christopher going to make it? How's Camille going to make it? And then shifting it and be, well, what can I bring into this moment? Where Cammy and I met, we met at our local CrossFit gym, and our trainer, he's an outstanding guy. And our first session, I asked him about his business and I said, tell me more. And I was thinking of ideas to help him grow his business. And it was just completely natural. And it wasn't like I was selling him on coaching or consulting. I was paying him. I just wanted to serve. And I said, have you thought about product shelves here? Have you thought about this advertising campaign? It's just natural for me. And I have to really taper it so I don't like give all this free advice. I do have to, and what a great gift. So for me to have to rein myself in, not serve too much and not, speak for 3 hours on something to help serve people, but to know that every person that you meet is the right time in the right place. And that every person that you can meet is someone that you can serve. Instead of going to a B&I meeting or a networking meeting thinking, who can I sell something to next? And instead looking at this person and realizing this is a human being, like I can serve this person. And that was how I met Cammy. And I got to learn what she was doing. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about this? And then we started working together. And then something else cool happened. Then she says, well, I want to do that too. I said, well, come on, buckle up. Let's go on a ride. And then just serving people every chance that we get. I asked one of my partners 2 days ago, and I said, hey, how are you feeling about our partnership? I know it's pretty new. And he said, he says, you're a total overachiever. And I said, well, my goal is to bring value everywhere I go. It's not about me. Like, I don't want to be the value guy. I just want to be a great human being and a great partner to everyone I come into contact with. And he's thrilled. And it's a brand new partnership. I helped one of my students yesterday. We released escrow on his very first business acquisition. And I called him after we released escrow. And I said, hey, how are you feeling? He said, I feel really good. And that just makes my heart sing when I know that people are happy because of the value I've been able to provide in the partnership, whether it's getting your first deal across the line or your 30th deal. I've seen it happen.
That's awesome. That's great. I just got chills when you said that.
Awesome.
I know. So Christopher, on a fundamental level, or maybe not fundamental, just kind of breaking it down. If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm listening to this episode and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Where do I start? Like, are there steps? I know you have a program, so you don't necessarily have to give away the house, but just kind of give us an idea of like, what should I be doing?
So the first and foremost is I want to give you both as wonderful hosts, and I want to give every one of your audience members a gift to put some things down, because there are things, I promise you, there are things that you are doing that you should not be doing. And there's things that you do that don't bring you energy. And one of my mentors recently taught me that when you're doing something in flow, you get energy. When you're doing something menial, you're giving energy. And oh man, ever since he said that, it's like, okay, this gave me energy. Okay, this didn't give me energy. So I feel like I'm either in great energy or I feel like I'm giving it away. And you can't, in the beginning, you're not going to be able to outsource or partner with everything, perhaps, especially if you're bootstrapping it. But I want to give you permission to put one thing down that you really don't like doing, and you don't really feel like you're serving the planet when you do this. Sometimes I tell my wife, I don't really feel like I earned my spot on planet Earth today by doing this task. And for me, that is things such as grocery shopping. I hardly ever go into grocery stores. It's just not my mission. Of course, it has to get done. Someone has to do it, but I'd rather empower and compensate people to do that, to bring the groceries to me or to do all the services I have so I can serve. And I can serve in the form of my gifts, which is writing, teaching, speaking, and training. So wherever you are, the first step is to identify what gives me energy, what doesn't give me energy. What am I really wonderful at? And what do I really need work on? Because you could decide, well, I'm really not good at finance. Let me go take these accounting courses. Or you could decide, I'm really not great at finance. Let me partner with someone who's a really great finance person and bring them into my world. I would rather choose the second option because that's going to give them energy because they love it. They love finance. And I speak as someone who loves finance. I love finance and spreadsheets. I seem like an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert with all my little spreadsheets. I love it. And I know what that feels like. So the first step is give yourself permission to put something down. And especially for your audience. I mean, as errands and chores and children and school and field trips and all the things that come along with being a parent and being an entrepreneur, and put something down and say, I need to find someone to partner with who can help me do this. The second thing is to provide value to that person. Now, a partnership can either be in kind, like, hey, you're going to do this thing and I'm going to do this thing, and you're having fair exchange, or it's going to be through the form of money. And money is a wonderful thing. Money is about just a vehicle of compensation. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a vehicle of compensation, a fair exchange. So sometimes you're not going to be able to do a partnership in kind if that person's got more experience. You might have to pay that person for a little while or to give them some type of deal. But first, allocate what's working for your business and what's not. What are you really great at? Maybe you're really great at getting clients, but you're terrible at onboarding them. Or maybe you're really great at or giving great services to clients, but you're scared of sales. You could go take a sales class and tell yourself, I've got to be good at this. I know in the beginning, I took all the classes. I took the sales classes, the finance classes, because I had to figure it out. And then later I was like, oh, I'm really good at this. Like with my partnership with Camille, one of our newest partners, I'm really good at marketing and speaking. So in our partnership, I am the marketing and speaking person. Cami is phenomenal at building relationships. My schedule really doesn't allow for all this chit chat and stuff like that. And Cami, you've got a very full schedule too. I just want to acknowledge that. Say, oh, she's got nothing to do. Here she's got, 40 single family home properties and she's building buildings, but she's got a more flexible schedule. So Cami's got all of the gifts to build really great relationships. So guess what she is in our partnership? She is the person who is a relationship manager. What a gift that is. Okay, so now we can go sell them and we can go keep them with our relationships. Now we just need someone who has structure. Oh, well, thank goodness we have our partner, Dan, who's really great at systems and processes and technology. So here we've got the three of us. And we're going to be unstoppable because we're all operating from our gifts. I'm not asking Cami to step on stage because that would terrify her. Well, she'll probably end up on stage. Just get ready. But that's not her role. Her role is her gift, which is connecting people, which is being the relationship person. And that's just one of her wonderful gifts. So I hope that helps on how to get started with finding a partner and then where to go. Where do you go to find a partner? So I wish we could have a Google search of partners. I wish we could put in and maybe one day my company will create that. I don't know. I would love for that to happen. But my first suggestion is to start where you are now. If you recognize that everyone you encounter is someone to serve, you will meet people at the gym. You will meet people on the podcast episodes. You will meet someone as you're going and checking the mail. You will meet someone as you go to a fun concert. I have met some of the greatest people in my world when I wasn't focused on making money. I was just working out or I was just serving on a podcast interview. And that's where you can start. Is just start where you are now. There's not yet a Google search for business partners. I'd like to create one. But for now, start with where you are and serve.
All such good information. And usually what happens with podcasts or with this kind of stuff, we hear all these grand ideas that sound really good, but we're just not sure where to get started. So that information that you just provided is so helpful, just so that people know where to, the first thing, like put something down. Oh, well, who's going to do, I have to do everything. I can't put anything down, Christopher. How can you? Yes, but we have to understand that is a great place to start, is to realize that we need to get some help. And when you say partner, does it mean necessarily like a partnership, like equity in the business, or does it mean you can partner as in, hire someone as a 1099 that has a great skill set, that you work with on an ongoing basis, maybe over a number of years, but they're not necessarily a partner in your business?
Sure. So you can do it every which way. In the beginning, my form of partnership, my very first assistant I ever hired, I think she was it was less than minimum wage for sure, because that was all I could afford. And in that beginning, that was like the first person that was actually doing things. And then now the game that I play is we do equity deals as I help people build sellable businesses, because after you learn to put stuff down and really collaborate, I want you to have a business you could actually sell. Because when I was in my 20s consulting with 400 plus businesses, 500 by the age of 30, I didn't have a business. It was just me. I was the business. I was the consultant. And then I sold my very first company. I know exactly what it took to put the systems in place to sell. So in the beginning, it might be a little assistant, it might be a little 1099. Then later, when you get to do bigger deals, maybe you're going to share equity. Maybe you're going to share revenue. And it's just all about co-creation, because if you can identify with where you're good at and then get really serious. And as I gave permission earlier about put something down, there are things I forbid myself to do. And I will tell people around me, I'll say, Unfortunately, that is not a Christopher task. And I'd love to help you with another thing, but that is reserved for this. And maybe in the beginning, it's getting your house cleaned or having someone get your groceries. Maybe it's getting your bookkeeping done. Maybe it then becomes someone's going to do sales on your behalf. And then you get bigger and bigger and bigger, but just start with where you are now and then focus on what you're really good at. And that could sound really fluffy, but I choose to not hear that as fluffy because I know if I listen to my own words and I put some stuff down, I'm going to be way more successful if I do what I know I'm really, really good at.
Yeah.
That actually didn't sound fluffy because I did something where so the whole point of me creating a women's group and me and Renee doing this podcast is to empower women, help them know that they can do this and that there's so much out there for them to do. And they have so many gifts. So of course I go give somebody 20% ownership in my women's group, but I gave too much too fast. It should have been an employee basis first. Like, why would I give all of this when it is mine? And so I'm opportunistic and I'm giving but you learn and that can be changed. It's just, but what you said it starts with paying them. And then maybe if they have a company that they've already built and they've already put this time in and you can go and help them build that company. Now they've already put in that base and you're not just giving the whole farm, right?
Right. And we learn. And my second deal that didn't go very well, I did the same thing. I was like, I'll give them 25%. It was like, that was a really bad idea. Yeah. But you learn and it's going to get better and better. And in the M&A world, we would call the fancy term would be a vesting schedule, that we would vest the equity based on certain milestones. I'll keep it really high level for the podcast, but I just told one of my team members, this is so real. I do it every single day. Before this interview with y'all, I was talking to one of my team members. We're about to bring on a vendor in one of our brands. And they mentioned from the get-go, they really wanted to have an equity opportunity. And I said, okay, here's how we do that. And I told my team member an hour ago, first, we're going to pay them. We're going to pay them exactly what they're worth. And we're going to make sure that they perform really well. Then once they do that, we're going to then do a revenue share or a profit share. And then once they continue doing good, then we can bring them on as an equity partner or something like that. So you've got to also, give people trials and give people a chance to bloom, because sometimes in the beginning, they don't have the resources they need. And y'all can probably hear from my language, I don't really blame my employees when they don't succeed. I really blame me and see how I could improve with giving them more resources. People are usually successful when they have everything they need. They're not successful when something is missing. I have found it more rare where people weren't motivated or didn't have good work ethic. It's most often a process thing, not a person thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is good. And that is very true. I agree. And I always take responsibility as the leader, because I just feel like, as the leader is, so goes the culture, the company, like all of it. And so if you have honestly, maybe honestly is not the bad word, not the right word. If you really have bad people, then you made bad hires. Mm-hmm. And so, you have to kind of look in the mirror to see, why do I have the culture that I have in my business? If I made better choices and I gave them better leadership and I had, better systems and I had better communication, and they're a good person, we could really make this work. But I have to be a solid leader in order for that to happen. I have a question for you about mindset and about kind of stretching yourself. Because I know that, Cami, we were talking earlier about doing the video or speaking in front of the camera or speaking in front of people. For those of us who are really uncomfortable with the thought of partnership or getting help, is there something in our mindset that we can do differently to kind of stretch ourselves thought-wise?
Great question. Yeah. And how do we go beyond? Well, how do we know we're really good at something or we don't like something? And how do we know it's just outside of our comfort zone? And my answer to that would be is how you feel after. Even if it was outside your comfort zone, did it give you energy? And if it gave you energy, that's a clue. Because here's what's really fascinating. And I'll make sure to keep this a smaller soundbite, but I'm really passionate about neuroscience and psychology because our human bodies are just incredible. Your body knows the truth. So your body knows this is a good person. This is good people. This is the task that gives me energy. This is a task that drains my energy. Now, can we predict the future with our body? I don't know. So can you predict if someone's going to be a great partner? I don't know. But I do know when I meet people, there's something called limbic resonance where I immediately resonate with someone because they just seem like good vibes. And I have been proved right more often as I've been proved wrong. Cammy is a great example of this. Right away, we were just like fast friends and it was just resonance. It just worked. So in the beginning, if you're still figuring out, well, what am I really good at? And do I like speaking? Do I like finance? Is to do it and to try it so you can get outside your comfort zone and ask yourself the question after, did that give me energy? And even if you have thoughts, and I'll say as a speaker, because when you speak and teach, every day I teach, every single day. Yesterday, I spoke and I did an impromptu class for a community I serve. And we had over 30 people log in for a brand new topic I had never taught before. And I remember thinking after, I hope I hit everything. I planned my outline. And I remember having some thoughts after of like, did I do that right? Could I have done that better? And all of that is natural because it's not that I wasn't good at it. It was a topic I had never taught before in a public forum. And it's natural to have questions of, okay, could I have done better? And so if you're afraid of speaking or if you're afraid of finance, these scary topics, we've got the introvert and the extrovert scary topics, ask yourself after, okay, so yes, there's things I need to refine. There's things I need to learn, but did it give me energy? And is it right for me? And that's how you'll know. That's how you'll know if this is a task or an activity you should be doing versus you should not be. Now, will you get your energy drained doing tasks? Yes. When I teach an 8-hour-long seminar, do I get a little bit of energy drainage? Sure. And that's natural. But go back inside, go back into you and say, okay, is that something that I want to do? And for me, the answer is yes. Then when it comes to, things such as grocery shopping, that just completely drains my energy. And actually, I have done so little grocery shopping. Now, when I go into a grocery store, now it's kind of like Disneyland for me because there's so much stuff I don't know that exists. So every now and then I'll go in and it's like, wow, I didn't even know they had these products. And that's how I know it's right for me because I know I'm glad I put down this task. I'm glad I don't do the grocery shopping because I get to enjoy it when it's just something pleasurable. Like, oh, look at this. Look at all this cool stuff on the shelf.
Awesome. I love that about the grocery shopping. I'm like, yeah, it's like Disneyland. Like, no, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's new. It's a new experience because you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's made for you.
Yeah, I totally get it. Well, Christopher, we're going to get ready to wrap up, but I wanted to get some information from you about the GAP program. Can you tell us specifically what it is and what it is that you do there?
So the GAP program stands for Growth Acquisition Partner. And that was created not because we had a wonderful marketing idea. It was created years ago when I met an individual who wanted to sell his business, but it wasn't sellable. It wasn't sellable because he didn't have staff, he didn't have processes, he didn't have the procedures. And instead of just saying, hey, I'll buy you for pennies on the dollar, or hey, just charge, just pay my consulting fee. I said, hey, why don't we go ahead and partner? You'll pay a reduced fee, and then you'll also release some equity, and I will help you exit. And I said, I need you to give me 12 to 18 months, and I will help you exit. And he exited in less than 9. And it was awesome. And he got to celebrate. It was a wonderful story. And that's when I created, for real, the GAP program. And actually, the name came from one of my wonderful team members who came up with the Growth Acquisition Partner. I was like, hey, that's wonderful, because if there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, the answer lies in somebody else can help you. Everything that we want is on the other side of other people, which is why we have to be really great people. So if someone says, well, I'm an introvert and I don't like to do relationships, my answer is that's going to be kind of a tough life to have, because you're going to have to build value and build great relationships. And so I've been doing that for several years. It is something I'm thrilled about. When I started buying businesses at the age of 29, I really thought I was just going to buy all these businesses. And now, as I sit here, most of my businesses are partnership, and I love it. I love helping people reach their dreams. So if they're interested, to listeners, they can go to my website at Say Yes Enterprises. And also view my LinkedIn, which I'm sure you'll LinkedIn, and happy to connect. And also, this interview is giving you some clues on what to do next, even if it's not working with us or just another great partner.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and for all the information. And Camille Davis, thank you for making this connection. You were right. You were right. Christopher is absolutely wonderful, and a great time for our audience. So thank you so much, both of you. And with that, we are going to say goodbye, and we appreciate your time, Christopher. Hope to see you back again soon.
That's all for this episode. Come back soon for more tools, resources, and great stories from successful women entrepreneurs. We believe you absolutely can build a business you love and have passive income. Until next time, thank you for listening.
Here we go.